Good morning, everyone, and thank you, David. No, I'm not a constituent of Norman Baker's, but I do get to hear a lot about potholes. And I want to thank the HTMA, Philip, and actually Andrew as well for that quite riveting presentation. I'll come back to that, but one thing I will probably say at this point, Andrew, is good effort on saying we should spend more money. We've probably not got it at the moment, but I'll go into that as part of my presentation this morning. Over 3 years ago, Boris said a statement, when he became mayor, about having a holy war on holy roads. Does anyone remember that? Vague murmurings, okay. I think we quickly found out that any politician who goes to war suddenly realizes that regime change doesn't happen that quickly. It takes a lot more time. There's a lot more nuances. The challenge is huge. And there are pressures that suddenly emerge. You have to understand the lie of the land a little better, the context. There are 7.75 million people in London and 4.7 million workers. There's almost 15,000 kilometres of roads. 80% of passenger journeys in London use the road network. 90% of London's freight comes by road. Every year, 2.5 million cars and 217,000 light commercial vehicles travel 31.9 billion kilometres in London. Did I mention the buses? 8,000 of them travelling 489 kilometres every year. Would have been helpful to have known those facts before we declared war. Because that is the context of our work. Those are the people, as David quite rightly points out, who are going about their daily lives not really understanding the asset they're using, but quite rightly highlighting it when they feel there's something going wrong. But then, the roads are a critical resource, and we should say they're a national resource. And that's why we have in London 37 highway authorities, 32 boroughs, the city, TfL, BAA, Royal Parks. And they are there to help manage those roads, but we also have 100 utilities licensed to dig up our streets, 600,000 roadworks a year. And there is a cost to disruption. Figures vary, but it is estimated to be about £1 billion a year. So, overall, there's a huge playing field out there that we're trying to improve. And then, when we're trying to come up with innovative ways of thinking, and yes, potentially saying, can we spend more in design to have better solutions and longer operational life frames, we come across a comprehensive spending review. But before we get to the review, the TfL business plan is already looking for efficiencies. In 2008, it had £2.4 billion marked out for efficiency savings. That was before the mayor even came into office, and that was just to balance the plan. We then had to find in total £5 billion in the 2009 business plan, and now we're having to find £7.6 billion of efficiencies in our business plan over the period to 2018. And you know what? Ladies and gentlemen, we have to find those efficiencies and do more. So there's a huge challenge. But it was also something to do about approach. I have to say, 3 years ago, when we came in and Boris became mayor, there was a previous view that the car was at the bottom of the modal hierarchy. Does anybody remember that? You know what that meant? That meant that the roads were at the bottom of the hierarchy as well. Because if you don't think there's a place for cars, why on earth are you going to care about the roads? Now, sure, maintenance needs to be done, but if you don't really prioritize an asset, how can you drive policies that will say, we need to look after this asset, we need to be more innovative, we need to actually think about the future for this asset? We must care for it. It's important. So I decided we need to change that. It's why we set up a policy area called smoothing traffic flow. It's why we dedicated a specific area of the new Mayor's Transport Strategy to developing policies around traffic. Let me be clear, though. This mayor, and probably no mayor, would ever say we want to encourage people to drive in the centre of our city. We still believe in modal shift. But there is a role for the motor car and motorised vehicles, and it is hugely dependent on how we look after our roads and highways. So, that's why we looked at how we're going to be maximising the efficiency and reliability of the operation of our existing network, minimising the impact of planned interventions, minimising disruption caused by unplanned events, maintaining the road network assets in a good state of repair, where appropriate, expanding network capacity, and yes, achieving modal shift from car journeys to other modes. Those are the exact principles in the Mayor's Transport Strategy. They were not there before. So I hope that gives you some confidence about the way the Mayor and TfL are now taking forward their views in terms of how we develop and work on our roads and with our partners who work on the roads. But this is a policy perspective. You are all at the cutting edge. I believe there are 30,000 people working in this industry, and your annual turnover combined is £3 billion. And later this afternoon, my colleague Dana Scully from TfL Roads Directorate will be talking in more detail about how TfL will be looking to work in a different manner with you, how we can improve and get better contract specifications, how we can have better relationship management, because fundamentally we do need to get a better result.